Hello, my name is Sarah Robinson and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the School of Applied Psychology, University College Cork, working on the Grassroots Radio project. Today I'm presenting research on behalf of my colleagues called Participation Through Substituting and Refusal. But first I'd like to introduce the wider Grassroots Radio project. The Grassroots Radio project seeks to lower the barriers for rural communities to have community radio through a novel technology. The project is ambitious in nature and works with rural communities in Romania, Portugal and Ireland. In each rural community, we introduce a novel platform called Rutio, which was developed with rural communities in northern Uganda and successfully led to low-cost sustainable radio stations. The Rutio platform brings together a web interface, an Android phone and app, SIP, telephony and FM technology, together with innovative text-to-speech functionalities that aim to reduce both the cost and difficulty of establishing and maintaining a community radio station. The design process is community-led and participatory, with goals of piloting the Rutio technology to feed back into its design and also to support the rural communities to have a sustainable radio platform by the end of the project in December 2020. This paper, however, focuses on participation in just one of the rural communities, as I mentioned, and it focuses on an aspect of participation when the participatory design process did not go according to our plan. We seek to illustrate the learning that can occur in terms of both participation and technology when a community refuses to engage in the ways initially intended and substitutes the intended technology. We echo colleagues who consider participation as a going concern rather than a matter of fact, and illustrate how moments of conflict and substitution can offer insight as part of the design process. We see design as both unfolding and dynamic. Firstly, what do I mean by research refusal? Well, we were inspired by work in decolonising the social sciences, which suggests that when people refuse to engage in research or in design, it is not just a no, but it is generative. It is telling us something. In our instance, it highlighted tensions between bottom-up and top-down processes inherent in our project. The technology in this instance was top-down, but was intended to support a bottom-up process of configuring it to local needs and establishing a community radio, which is an explicitly bottom-up process. In doing so, as designers, we sought to engage with the wider community to understand how the platform might be configured to local needs. Through this process, we began to understand the politics of participation within this context. I'm now going to present two of three themes from our early ethnographic research in this community. The first theme I intend to present is researcher-community relationship and trust. The rural community was formally represented in the Grassroots Radio project through a community gatekeeper organisation whose staff were part of the small island community of under 200 people. In previous encounters with outsiders, rural island residents told us that they had felt objectified, sometimes feeling like an animal in a zoo. Histories of engagement with outsiders positioned the outsider as expert and the islander's knowledge as inferior in some way. So there was a period of time when we needed to build trust and work through these previous engagements through treating islander knowledge as vital and central, particularly to the community building process. Islanders, however, were concerned that research and design were of benefit. Research and design would benefit them, and asked, similar to Nathan and colleagues' findings with First Nation communities in Canada, who is this good for? Who is this technology good for? Is it good for us or is it good for you as a designer? There was a period of time where there was a watch and wait approach. The second theme that I want to talk about is the community and the radio platform. So when we introduced the technology into the community, they had to undergo a period of time where they applied for a broadcasting licence to the Broadcasting Authority. FM, as you may know, is a highly regulated space. In early iterations of use of the platform, the technology was not yet robust. It was still a prototype. The community organisation and volunteers, however, grew impatient with competing demands of meeting regulator demands to have reliable broadcasting at particular times and dates, building community support around this radio platform, and piloting the platform as part of the project. As a result, they substituted the radio platform with an alternate system. So what do we learn about this for participation and technology? Through the act of substitution, we learned that community organisation and volunteers prioritised accountability to their community and the regulator over what Dietrich and colleagues call the everyday work of making IT work. The community organisation focused on what was achievable and for technology that was run by those with expertise in their community and was reliable. They also valued relational reliability of having people close to the community or within it that could use and maintain the system, allowing them to get on with the work of generating content and, importantly, building the community around this radio. We learn that participation in this way tells us that we need to have a minimum stable platform and that there is difficulty in building a community on a technology that is still a prototype, that those two things are in tension. What we also learn about the community itself is that they were concerned about reciprocity, whether this project would benefit them as well as the long-term design of the platform, and they were deeply concerned about the local consequences of their actions. So for the community development group, they were concerned about the reputational impact of broadcasting content that might not be reliable and that the transmission could break. They were particularly concerned about people who had given their time for an interview and then the transmission cutting out, and they felt this was about respect for the people in their community. What is interesting is through use of this alternate system that the community volunteers have also begun to appreciate the affordances that the Rutio platform could potentially provide them. So recently, for example, they have used the text-to-speech functionality to enable them to broadcast in multiple languages to fishermen that were trapped in the bay beside this rural island during the COVID pandemic isolation period, and they were able to transmit public health information through TTS technology. They are also now looking to move to a system where they will use their reliable system to meet regulator demands while also using the Rutio platform to rebroadcast content during the week, using its scheduling system, which enables them to not be in a studio.